I don't even think the world needs VR. It seems like a dated technology. It seems like it's just a stepping stone to something better. If we're looking at, you look at Microsoft's HoloLens, you look at what it can do. It replaces the TV, it replaces the computer, it replaces everything.
Right.
And with that technology, even on the horizon, and you have submersive 3D in rooms with projectors that you just surround yourself with. I mean, if that's the way the technology is moving and these things are gaining traction, then what does it say for face-fed VR that uses a tower computer? How long is that viable? When you look forward and you think, okay, we've made it this far in 10 years, what do the next 10 years hold? Then you really start to speculate, and even if you want to invest in something like this. So,
have you actually had a chance to try the Oculus or the Samsung?
I got to try the Samsung VR, but it wasn't Samsung. It was the Google Cardboard.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm an Android user, love Android, and I love the functionality. And I got the Cardboard.
Right.
So I've got kind of a rough idea of how VR is going to work in that aspect because it's synced to my computer.
And again, that's like your phone,
And it was my phone that did VR. Goes to your point about how
I've had a chance to try all of them at work. I've tried pretty much all of the Oculus releases. The newest Oculus is hot shit. It is buttery smooth. The new let me say, the Samsung and the Google and stuff like that, they're okay, but the newest version of the Oculus Rift is the first one that I've had no motion sickness with.
So you can see a difference depending on...
Oh my god, you can. The frame rate is so much better, the refresh rate is so much better, it is buttery smooth, completely immersive, and I actually felt like transported to another place, and it didn't make me sick at all. So I think they're there. And of course the Oculus is the expensive one.
Of course it is. You gotta have your high end. You gotta have your top tier, and that's what people pay money for.
I would, I'm close, in the next 2-3 years, I think I could go in on something like that. I find it interesting enough, and I've seen some cool games and demos. So, on that note, we're going to get down to a number 2 game of 2015 from Polish here.
Number 2, again, like I said, top 3 were a group together, but I'm going to give it to the PC release of Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 was possibly one of the best games ever made. Inarguably, everybody knows the Grand Theft Auto series. If you live in America, you know what that means. Even if you live in the UK or other countries, you know what Grand Theft Auto is. And it came out 3 years ago, 2013, for the old generation consoles. It was built on old technology. Worked pretty well. Then it was released for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Was even better. And then the PC release came out, and it really felt like it found its home there. Even though Rockstar is against PC modding online, I understand that. How polished it actually was, and with the right components, it was an experience like I had never felt in an open world.
So, how good does it look like on your hot shit PC?
It looks as good as you think it does. Right. I mean, it is just absolutely smooth. I have an Asus ROG Swift, best monitor I've ever seen, 1440 at 144 hertz is astounding.
Oh my god!
And Grand Theft Auto.
Never even heard of 144 hertz.
144 hertz refresh rate, and that's not even overclocked. I mean, there's headroom there.
Okay,
Grand Theft Auto at 100 plus frame rate is just jaw dropping. And I'm gonna say this: if you've never seen a high refresh rate monitor and gamed on a high refresh rate monitor, you are truly missing out. Mm-hmm. Anything above 30 hertz, 30 frames a second is great. To me, I can never go back to 60 frames. Which is why it makes it difficult to go back to a console.
Did it only reach that in 2015, or is the refresh rates been available for a while? It hasn't
exceeded viability just based on GPU technology and how many frames those things can put out. And I don't even think games need to evolve any further right now. Textures are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Faces are amazing. The Sherlock game I'm playing now is amazing faces.
And I really think Grand Theft Auto took it there. Mm-hmm. It's not the best optimized game in the world, just because of the wide... Just optimizing a game is difficult. Porting to PC is really difficult just based on the fact that you have so many different manufacturers for so many different components is what the PC was built on, and it wasn't built for PC. So in that aspect, Rockstar does as best they can in a port, and it's probably one of the best ports I've played. And so with that regard, top 2 didn't take number 1, and we'll get to the reason why.
Okay.
But, as far as the port goes, I had no gripes at all. I mean, it was a game I was familiar with, I knew, loved, and it just made it that much better.
I mean, other than, like, the amazing immersive world and stuff like that, what made this version of GTA for you special or really good? What was that sort of added value that set this one apart from past ones or got this so high on your list?
When they introduced the first-person mode in Xbox One...
Okay, shooter mode, okay.
It was great, but it felt hindered.
Okay.
Bringing a keyboard and mouse into it just absolutely changes the game. It's like a different game. You play Grand Theft Auto in third person with a controller, and then you play Grand Theft Auto in first person with a keyboard and mouse, and it's a completely different game.
Right.
So that was one of the things that drew it to me.
Does it feel like a good shooter? Does it feel like it has the good weight and
the character feels responsive? The sights are great. Iron sights feel raw. You get your scoped views. It just plays really well, and they've tailored it to PC in first person. This is something that was existent in the Xbox One version, but it felt a lot better in PC with a high refresh rate. Those head movements and the combat rolls felt fluid, and it felt like if you had it in VR, it would be an immersive experience completely.
So I've been waiting for super sale on that one. They're still selling this Jim Jam for full price on the Xbox One.
Full price.
And I know, right? And I played it on Xbox One when it came out in 2014, before they had the first-person mode, and I never really played the online components, but it seemed like a good, solid next step in the series to me.
It's only recently become good, and I'm going to put that out there. It's been around for 2+ years now, and only within the last 4 months did Grand Theft Auto Online really find its own.
Other than maybe the first Grand Theft Auto, because it was so revolutionary at the time, Grand Theft Auto is never going to get in my top games list, because I do have somewhat of an aversion to playing games as a hardcore criminal. I don't like murdering people in games. In a Call of Duty game, you're fighting Nazis or you're soldiers on a battlefield, but I just personally, and I think the games are fine. I've got no problem with GTA. I just don't like
not your cup of tea.
Murdering citizens or cops or anything like that in games is just not my sort of thing. I'm not a super violent kind of person, but I don't think you have to be a violent person to enjoy these games. They are amazing and huge and immersive and fun and over the top. But how about the characters in the game? Did you enjoy the meth guy? And
completely, the actors that they chose to model the characters after, and thusly their performances with said characters, were absolutely over the top. I mean, you really felt the tension between Michael and Trevor when they would argue about certain things, and the looming discovery that Trevor makes about their dead heist mate is spoilers. There you go. It just, if you haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5, then you shouldn't be listening.
You're way behind the curve.
Way behind. So I'm not caring about spoilers anymore with that game in mind. Just the tension they build, it was just above, many leagues above other even storytelling aspects to the game. And I'd pose a challenge to anybody: try to go into the game and not kill anybody, and see how difficult that actually is.
Right, and you can play it that way.
You can, and it makes it a lot more challenging. You really got to be on your P's and Q's, because the second you rear end somebody, they're ripping you out of your car and they're gonna kill you.
Right, I remember playing GTA 1 and being afraid to rear end somebody, or being afraid to run a red light. When I played GTA 1, I actually stopped at red lights because I saw cops ahead, and I played it so differently.
It gives it a good role-playing element as well, so that was number 2 for me. And,
I could play GTA as Mr. Nasty at some point. My number 2... This one came out of like nowhere for me. I knew that it was a strong franchise. I knew that it was going to be a strong game, but I had no idea that this game was going to, Fallout 4, which is a no-brainer. Like, The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt was so amazing, so good in so many different ways.
You can actually roll this into my number one because it was my number one.
And very well should be number one. If it wasn't for this other freak game, it would have been my number one. Like, the voice acting is so good. The characters and the faces and the lip syncs are so good. The quests are smart and interesting.
And meaningful.
The world is absolutely gorgeous. My only beef on this that maybe kept it from being, me loving it even more. The combat took a long time to get used to. I don't play a lot of hack and slash games. I don't play a lot of Dark Souls type games. So I found it a little tough to get used to it. But once I got the combat system, I was able to enjoy it and do fairly well. I just loved everything about the game. I loved Geralt. I loved Ciri. Yeah.
He has a very unique story to tell. He really does. A war-hardened monster hunter in every aspect of it when he deals with humans and when he deals with the beasts of the world. It really gives you perspective to the term monster hunter and what a Witcher is.
And I love that. I loved my favorite part of the game, aside from all those other things I just said, was hunting the beasts and stuff and like tracking the beasts and like figuring out what strategies I needed to use, what weapons I needed to use, what potions I needed to quaff and stuff to have a successful fight. Because if you didn't think about your fights, you would get schooled.
Oh,
you didn't
very quickly.
Until late game, you can get super powerful when you get all the best gear and you get super high level. Because I did all the side quests. By the time I finished the game, it was some crazy level.
They also give you a new Game Plus mode as well to keep all your gear and then play through the game again.
Yes, at a slightly sort of harder mode, I think. But,
I did the new Game Plus mode. I played through it. I'm actually currently waiting for Blood and Stone, I think is their
name. There's still one DLC coming out?
Their last map expansion DLC, so I wanted to get all the DLC together and then go forward with it from there and just do a fresh install, fresh game. I played on PC as well, and when you see this game at like 100 frames plus, it's just...
I can imagine.
It's almost entrancing. You start to feel like you're there, even though it's not a first-person game. Just the way they've done it is just phenomenal. Best optimized game of the year for me, and that's why it takes my number one slot. It plays beautifully. And you're right. The combat is a little difficult to get used to. It really requires planning. It requires that you know your opponent and you exploit their weaknesses.
Right.
It's not your hack and slash game where you just swing a sword back and forth like your Oblivions.
And you need to roll, Skylines. And you need to block, you need to do all these dodge and do all these other things.
You have to utilize your skills that will make you the Witcher. Your signs are critical. And when you try to take on a specter or any type of ghost, you can't do it without certain signs. You have to slow them. You have to make them vulnerable. And it just creates this combat system that, like I said, a bit of a learning curve. The Witcher series has never been kind to newcomers. It takes that moment to realize what's going on and to brutally fail repeatedly in order for you to really realize the systems and mechanics. But once you get that down, it is so rewarding to take on a group of neckers or slay your first unique monster with a bounty on it. It's just nothing more rewarding than taking that knife, cutting its head off, and taking it back to town for your reward.
Yeah, and the little touches like being able to put that on your saddle and give yourself these kind of overall global bonuses based on which monster head you had attached to your saddle. But the reason why this beats Fallout 4 for me is because there's like 5 characters in this game that I will remember.
Yes.
There's like 5 characters in this game that I thought were pulled off super well great voice acting, great animation. You know, like, I was interested and I cared about Triss. I was interested and I cared about Ciri. I think Geralt is amazing. The Baron, who you have a large quest line with, was amazing. The Lady in the Hut, and then finally, who's his main romance option? Not Triss. Yennefer. Like, oh my god, like
Yennefer of Vengerberg.
I loved Yennefer. I loved the fact that she was a complete asshole through most of the game. You know, she's like real rough around the edges, and you usually don't get female characters. They're more like demure or whatever,
abrasive,
and
yeah.
she's just like super abrasive and in your face and like, fuck you.
I'm doing what I want, and you can't tell me not to.
And being smoking hot. I loved all the romance. So like, I was a total
another
Geralt whore.
Oh yeah.
Like, I hit every single one of the romance options and did them in the correct order so that I could actually unlock them all in the game. So it was a Geralt whore. And that leads you down the path of the failed threesome. And there's no way you can get out of it. If you romance, spoilers, if you romance both Triss and Yennefer, they will get back at you, and there's no good outcome for that.
No.
So,
and that's another thing I loved about the game. Like, 40 outcomes. Mm-hmm. Every decision that was made felt like it had weight to it. That if you made the wrong decision at one point in the story, you will regret it, but it's yet to be determined. So, I mean, their storytelling method was very well polished and just really gave the player, really made that experience feel personal. And you don't get that a lot in gaming nowadays. You're normally on rails viewing what the developer wants you to view, whereas in The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt really brought me a personal experience within a world.
I felt that way too. And spoilers, you know, the ending I got was Ciri becomes like the Empress. And, you
completely different to mine.
Exactly. So what ending did you get?
I got everybody lived except for one of the Skelliger
okay.
Nobility, something like that.
Right.
Many spoilers in this, so let's be cautious of that. And then Ciri goes into hiding, and Geralt gets a Witcher blade crafted for her, and they become Witchers together. And
that's cool.
She goes on the road with him, and it kind of leaves off from there. So, but there are so many different endings you can get. It really gives you the option of playing it your way. And
Ciri
really
can die. Everyone can die.
Geralt could be alone at the end with everyone gone. Vesemir, his entire Witcher crew, all of the girls that he holds dear, you know, all down the drain if you want him to be. So be that asshole, kill those people, and, you know, you get what you deserve.
So I'll let you, since this is your number one, I'll let you speak on it a little bit more for a second. But last thing I wanted to say about The Witcher 3 is my number 2 game, was that the game was pro. It was the complete package.
Yes.
They took the time to make the music, the world, the voice acting, the animation, the characters, everything not polished, but polished completely. And it's a Polish developer, you know, doing it their way and doing it right. And it's so paid off. And so many people, I think, really were surprised by how good this was and loved it. Last word on The Witcher.
Completely taken aback. Like I said, completely polished. Something that wasn't on my radar. And I just stumbled upon it randomly and went back and played Witcher 2 before it came out. Didn't get a chance to play Witcher 1. Really wasn't up to modern standards, so, you know, I went back, did a little bit of research on the story, but Witcher 3 was absolutely just the game of 2015. All the makings of a game that's going to go down in infamy, and people will be talking about this for years to come.
There is Unicorn.
Yes. That I won't spoil for you.
There's something involving a unicorn.
Check it out. Totally
and
worth it.
you have to work the dialogue right to get there, but you will be rewarded with a scene involving a unicorn.
One of those rewards that if you get it, it just totally is the icing on the cake for the experience. It honestly is.
Right. So my number one game of 2015 by far is Life is Strange. Like, I mean, it's vaguely like a Telltale game, so if you've played those before, you kind of know what a Telltale game is like. But, you know, more sort of free roaming and stuff. But like The Witcher, it is a game that you will play and you will remember all of the characters. You will have, by the end of episode 5 of this episodic series, you will care about so many different people, and you will be shocked, and you will be appalled, and you will be crushed. And like you would think when you start off that this is just like some sort of high school teen game that after a little while there's a kind of a supernatural element to it. There's time traveling involved. The thing about this game is that it goes there. It gets really dark really quick. So by the episodes 3, 4, and 5 of this series, it goes completely off the rails into some really dark stuff that you may have never seen in a game before.
Almost anime-ish in regards, where you get a normal group of people and then they go and tailspin into something like really crazy.
I guess I don't know if my my anime knowledge is good enough to comment on that. I would say it's more like, you know, it deals with like themes of like child pornography and like murder and
real issues,
kidnapping, like real dark issues, you know what I'm saying? And the characters are amazing. The art style is great. It's sort of like slightly stylized realism. It's got really cool weather. It's got, you know, quick time events, dialogues. Only 2 really different endings, but, you know, probably 20 or 30 like relationships and stuff that you can have turn out differently within the game. But this game is just off the chain, amazing. It's got all these great touches, like you take Polaroid photos during the game and put them into your like journal, and your journal's an integral part of the game, and there's unique art for every sort of event in your life. It's just so well done and so deep and so fun. I don't know what more I can say about it other than, you know, I don't want to spoil anything at all with this game. It is just deep and dark and amazing character design, great voice acting. You know, there's a little bit of beef, some people say, on the dialogue could be a bit stilted. It is created by a French company and then translated to English, and they're trying to portray high schoolers from America in the Pacific Northwest in like 2012, 2013. So, you know, there's some teen slang in there that may be a bit of a groaner. But other than that, like, the voice actors, like, you know, blew me away. Even better than The Witcher. You know, if you liked the story in The Witcher, and the plot line and stuff, and that aspect of The Witcher, this is, you know, equally engaging and interesting, and just an incredible story that you'd be like, oh my god, I want to see what happens next.
I want more.
Oh my god, yeah, I want more. I can't wait till the next episode comes out. So,
I love games that take these directions and get rid of the violence. Let's tell a story. Bully was a great game. Let's harken back to the old times. Let's go back to definitive Rockstar games. Yep. You get a game that nobody dies. You know, you're just out causing mischief and just understanding what these characters have to tell. Firewatch, another game that's on my radar that I want to play.
Okay,
it just came out recently.
You haven't played Firewatch.
I have not played Firewatch yet, but it's a game that tells a story, and I don't have to kill anybody. That I know of. But
so I don't have Firewatch on my PC yet. That's definitely on my list of games to play. I'm pretty familiar with it. I've watched some other people play most of it. I have not spoiled the ending for myself, but I certainly know the setup. The beef I heard on that is it's really short. Like, you could finish it in 3 hours, and that's it. And you're sort of like, oh no,
I wanted so much more.
Right. Whereas like something like Life is Strange, it is 5 3-hour episodes. So, you know, you're going to have like a whole season, just like a Telltale game. That's about how much Telltale games run. It's about 5 3-hour episodes a season. So you get to live in that world for longer, and I've heard that's the beef on Firewatch, is that it's just not enough.
Well, it's a great story, and we take what we can get sometimes, and
right.
That's what it is. It is what it is.
So I'm going to also just kind of talk about other games that I want to play. I just downloaded a game called The Flame in the Flood. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not, actually. I'm spreading my wings and diving into indie games. It's taken me a while to get there. I want a polished X, Y, and Z with no early access of anything.
Right.
Give me something that's functional. And I recently have just gotten into Rust and the whole base building thing, and something early access where you deal with bugs and you look to the future. And I think the gaming industry needs more strong indie developers, and I love that it's gaining traction the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Flame in the Flood, I use Flipboard a lot, so I see a lot of diverse information. And Flame in the Flood was a game that was on a page in Flipboard, and I just have not really gotten to delve into. Is it like a Don't Starve?
It's a it is. I've heard that it's very similar to Don't Starve, and it's basically a roguelike. I actually bought it today and downloaded it, so this is the actual game, not a clip or whatever. So it seems like a game that was created for me. It's basically looks like it is a combination of The Long Dark and Life is Strange. So it's kind of like this little girl and her dog going through a survival roguelike in a very cool kind of stylized sort of environment, in sort of like a post-flood world. I haven't played it yet, though, but obviously I'm into survival type games, so this is high on my list to play. I will probably start playing it at some point today. But what else is on the horizon? What are you either playing now, or what is on the horizon that you would like to check out?
2016 is an odd year for me. Saw a lot of great stuff come out last year, and played a lot of great games last year, and I'm not really seeing that this year. Okay. I've got Fallout to play. I don't know if that was 2015 or 2016. Things I'm looking forward to are few and far between. Like I said, I touched on Roller Coaster Tycoon World, a pre-existing franchise. It's doing something new. I'd like to see them revisit their roots in a revamped engine and just see what they can do. And the whole Steam Workshop and integration of user-created content is a good thing, and I'd like to see more game developers utilize that. A lot of games that I was looking forward to in 2016 have been pushed to 2017.
Okay.
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that would be on my list if it was 2016. But yeah, I'm hot on that one.
Gears of War 4.
Okay. Never been a big Gears person, but I'd like to check that out.
Deus Ex is a game that I'm definitely looking forward to. I loved their last game, and didn't get to spend a lot of time with it, but definitely wanted to go that route again. And when they announced a new one coming out, keeping my eye on it.
Yeah, futuristic RPGs, I'm sort of into that. So I've played some of the old Deus Ex, I think the original one, but I haven't played the last one. But I think since I've gotten more into Xbox One, this might be the one that I really get into. This is going to be like my new Fallout or whatever, because of the heavier RPG sort of aspect to it, but it's also got the stealth and the sort of the play any way you want, beat a level with your guns or with stealth or however you choose it with the heavy RPG elements. So
I always love being given the option.
Now, have you heard anything, if it's still 2016 or it's one of those vaporwares that's never going to happen? The most interesting thing to me would be a game called No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky actually was confirmed this year, I believe. I just got word of it today.
It's a procedurally generated space sim exploration game.
My beef with No Man's Sky is that I have to buy a PS4 to play it, and I'm not going to spend $450 to play one game.
It's not going to be PC.
No. I don't believe so. They might have changed that, but as far as I had heard, it was PS4 exclusive. I might be wrong on that. But if that's the case, then it'll be a game that I'll have to do without until I can pick up a PS4 for $100.
Dang.
Yeah.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel, those shoes. I'm actually wearing Vans.
Damn, Polish.
Damn, that was...
That kid's voice. That's crazy.
Christ. He had famous minutes and then just completely died off after Ellen gave him white Vans for life.
Right, and the other kid got like a surfboard or something like
Who
that.
Who wants Ellen DeGeneres' face on a surfboard? Like,
So,
it's a constant reminder of your failure.
God. How about like Crackdown? Is that the one with the destructible terrain?
I am looking forward to Crackdown. I don't know if they've confirmed a 2016 release date or it might have been pushed to 2017, but big on my radar. I loved the first two games. Just loved the ability to go and explore the world, and just the destruction has always been in the forefront of Crackdown. You might have been interested to not hear Just Cause in my list of games that I'm looking forward to or have played.
Which is sort of another freeform destructible sort of game.
And I feel in that genre, it too is becoming an old hat that, you know, you can make it look as good as you want to, but I'm tired of just blowing things up. I want a little bit more story. I want a little bit more to do with the character. I want skills, and I think Crackdown's really going to bring that with their cloud-based destruction and what they're trying to do with that. You're going to get destructible environments of the likes that we've not seen in gaming yet.
Right, so I'm really interested in that aspect of it. I want to see buildings coming down.
Super interested in if it's going to follow the route of Quantum Break and Rise of the Tomb Raider and be released for Windows 10 as well. Mm-hmm. Microsoft is, I think that's the thing I'm most closely watching to see how that all plays out, the whole UWP file system and Microsoft's vie to go cross-platform and create content for multiple different things at once. Is it going to be the death of the Xbox One and consoles as we know it? Is it going to be the death of the PC as we know it? I mean, these are pertinent questions, and to really discern what Microsoft's true intentions are with this is going to tell that story. I don't know much about UWP right now, but it seems troubling.
Mm-hmm. I definitely don't think the PC is, going to die anytime soon. I think, like we said, it may change form. It may get smaller. It may be in your cell phone or your smartphone or something like that. But, I think there's so many things a PC can do that aren't related to gaming that will keep them sort of relevant. You're always going to need a keyboard and a mouse to do things easier.
That is very true.
Than something that's touch or something that has a controller.
You can only imagine how intuitive those things can be, how precise they can be. With keyboard and mouse and a big tower, you get precision that you can't get with hand gestures.
Right, and keyboards, if anything involving like typing or something like that, it's just there is no interface that is going to be as good or as fast and not as clunky.
This is very true.
Just some of the ones that I'm interested in 2016. Have you ever been a Dark Souls guy?
It's one of those games that I'd love to learn how to play it, but because it's so challenging, and I actually think the creators challenged the community to tell the story of Dark Souls, and they were going to pay, I think, upwards of a sum of $25,000 if somebody could successfully tell the story. And I don't know that that's a good thing.
So in the game, it's so light, the aspects of storytelling are just so light that it's just filling your own story, pretty much, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. They give you a world, they give you enemies, and you fill in the blanks.
But damn, doesn't that look, like, gorgeous? That's like...
It does. And another game that I don't know that anybody has ever confirmed or denied, the new Deep Below, or the Capcom's project they've been working on forever... I can't remember. Deep Down.
Okay, Deep Down. I don't know about that.
It was a that's still their unveiled project title, but this harkens back to some of the views that I had on that. This was E3 like 2013. It's been in development hell. No one's heard hide nor hair, but Dark Souls very punishing, very rewarding at the same time. But I'm a kind of gamer that needs at least some type of story some type of progression, whether it leaves me to make those progressive decisions or not. There's got to be something there. So a game like this, and one of my biggest gripes with survival games is just that it releases you into a world and challenges you to survive.
Create your own content.
Create your own content. You know, that might be great for YouTubers, but it might not be great for me, the gamer.
But also, you know, like the direct antithesis of like what I loved about Witcher 3. So obviously, you know, I like different aspects of the two different things. Where Long Dark is a sandbox. There is essentially no content. It's just a sandbox for you to play in and make your own story if you want, or just survive or experience or chill out. Whereas what I loved about The Witcher was the story was so
really
good,
driven
and polished,
story
and
content. Yeah,
cared about it, and it was really good. So do you have any other sort of comments on 2016? What you're concerned with? What you're looking for?
Like I said, I think it's going to be one of those development years, like 2014 was. You know, and I like that. I want game developers to take more time with their products. I want them to polish them. I want something that's not broken. I think we lived in the last couple of years of game releases that have just been absolutely piss poor. They put out a game and you got to give it 2 weeks before you can even play it. I shouldn't have to pay for that. That's just absolutely inexcusable. And I see a lot of developers, like it took Metal Gear Solid 5 so long, it was delayed a ton of times, and I thank them for delaying it because they gave me a game that was great out of the gate. They didn't have to wait for, except for their online portion, which I'm now currently diving into. But that would be the thing I'm mostly watching for, is how game developers release games, and I want to see the evolution in that. Content's great, physics are great, engines are great. Let's go ahead and focus on getting those things down to where we can get them smooth and create lasting experiences for gamers, rather than the hit or miss, wash out in 6 months, forget about what that title was game.
So yeah, coming in 2016, I don't know if it's going to be with like Gears and stuff, but is it Epic that's also kind of creating their own Steam-like platform? I think Steam has been amazing. A great way. I love the way I buy most of my PC content when I do buy it over the past couple of years through Steam at this point. And, I like it. It solves a lot of DRM issues while it is DRM itself. But, Microsoft's coming out with its own flavor. I think it's maybe Epic Games is coming out with its own flavor.
I think that's the reason why I've stuck to PC gaming so closely, is the fact that I can choose my medium of receiving my content. If I don't like what one publisher does, I can go and say, okay, I'm not going to use you anymore, but let's look at these other things. GOG Galaxy is a great thing. It's CD Projekt Red's backing of game media distribution, completely DRM free. You can get whatever you want, play it offline, no certificates to authenticate. You can just play your games. But you got to take into account the fact that most modern games come with a multiplayer element, and you need DRM. DRM's not the dirty word anymore. We all have internet access. We're now coming into the fiber infrastructure that's going to really unleash the Internet of Things as we know it, and really unlock the potential for these things.
So we are getting Google Fiber here. We are located in the southeast in central North Carolina, and we were up for the original one that did it go to Kansas or whatever. I can't remember. Kansas City. Yeah. We were up for the original one, but we're going to be part of the second rollout of that, so we'll be able to taste some of that sweet Google Fiber.
Oh, I can't wait.
Coming up. I've got Uverse as well as Time Warner in my area. Time Warner is improving, still kind of shoddy. I've heard the same things about Uverse though.
Uverse is like Time Warner times 10.
It's one of the other. So I will ask you this same question in a second, but I just want to talk about. You said it's not like maybe a great year for stuff coming out in 2016. No. I think two of the kick-ass games that a lot of people are going to be remembering at the end of the year have already come out right at the beginning of 2016. So Firewatch is one of them. I'm hoping it comes out on the Xbox One, and I think I'll play it somewhere. But the other one here is this game called Oxenfree, which is absolutely amazing. Essentially, it's maybe a 4-hour game at the most. You could probably stretch it out. It's got pretty good high replay value, but it's kind of like it's quite a lot like Life is Strange. There's a teenage girl with blue hair. There's time traveling, but this has some jump scares. It is more of sort of a supernatural...
Sod off Quantum Break. We don't want your time traveling over here.
That's the theme of 2016 is the time traveling. Also, some other game that was a spinoff of the Heroes TV show came out this year, and that's got a time traveling and time stopping element to it. But how can I best explain Oxenfree? The art style is amazing, really cute, really interesting, maybe graphic novel style.
Interesting. I always love it when you get a cartoon in a video game.
Right. It feels like... have you played Ori?
Yes, Ori and the Blind Forest was visually stunning. Absolutely
didn't make my top 5, but I'm making my way through it right now. Really good, but it feels like you're playing a cartoon.
It really does.
Well, this game feels like you're playing a cartoon. What a lot of people like the most about Oxenfree is the black screen. Okay. What people most liked about it was the conversations were really realistic. It has super realistic dialogue, and it has...
I feel dialogue, in part, makes a game. And if you have poor dialogue in your game, your game is not going to succeed at all, no matter how great the gameplay, physics, how good it looks. They'll just remember it as that, and remember it as that game that tried.
And so you can see it's got all these little sort of speech balloons, and basically there are... I don't know how many endings are in this game, but there's so many different choices you can make. You can have a completely different relationship between all 5 of the main characters by the end of the game. You could make X hate Y. You could...
like Broken Age, a little bit.
I don't know Broken Age.
Similar, you had 2 people going back and forth with decisions. It was really quirky, really weird, but a good play, nonetheless. Okay. And I feel this is not in the same vein, but using the same type of storytelling a little bit.
This game really impressed me. I think you could pick it up for... It might be 20, it might be 15. It's a short game, but it's got a lot of replay value from a small indie developer. Again, it's got a lot of like heart and emotion, and the supernatural element to it is really, really bizarre. You have this radio that you tune into different stations, and like you can hear ghosts, you hear things from the 1940s. Your radio makes strange things happen. You wind up interacting with these supernatural creatures. You're solving this mystery.
That is interesting.
Really weird. Never played a game like it before. It's got this weird sort of 1980s kind of 8-bit soundtrack that's really unusual. Maybe like the Blade Runner soundtrack kind of sounds like Vangelis meets Mario.
Another thing that makes a great game is what you put in it to bring the player in. You use story, you use sound, and then you use environment. And if you hit those boxes, it's a game that most people aren't going to play based on hearsay, but they're going to play it because of what everybody knows about it. And like I said, I think with story and sound are very integral parts to games, and you might not hear about it, but you pick it up, you play it, you hear it, and you want to know more.
Yeah, something else that The Witcher did really good was the sound. I still can remember that crazy song when you're fighting and stuff. Also, really just
dynamic music is great. And, when you're walking around the world, it's light, it's a little adventurous, and then you get into a battle and it just goes very intense, and it really almost makes the battle almost like a movie. It's very interesting. So
what has been your favorite game or new game of 2016? And try to stick to 2016, or it could be a re-release or an improvement.
I don't think I have anything purchased that was from 2016.
Okay.
Thinking about getting the new Need for Speed. I've always been a racing fan.
Did you get Forza 6?
I did play Forza 6. It's a Forza game.
Right.
You played the first one, you played the last one.
Right.
So, I mean, it looks a little better, plays a little better, new roster of vehicles. That's about it. I want to play the Need for Speed based on customization and what you can do in the world. Apparently it has rubber banding issues, but you're going into it with a Need for Speed mentality. You're not making this the next Forza or the next Assetto Corsa. You're not making a simulation game. It's an arcade racer, and I love that about the game.
So it
looks great.
Need for Speed has a stronger kind of storyline. Does it always have a storyline to it?
Yes and no. That's another thing. Apparently they used live action to tell this story, and they put you in the perspective of the player. There's a lot of fist bumping. There's a lot of
Forza Horizon sort of did that. Had a live action actor kind of
like that. But they use it. There's 5 different styles of driving, and then you have these forgettable characters. But I don't play Need for Speed games for the story. Mm-hmm. No, I'm there to test the cars and customize them in my fashion. And it's a great world. It's a big world. Got a lot to do in that world. They're introducing all types of different mechanics on the fly. Post-launch content support, so you're not paying for DLC.
Right.
Iterations. They're constantly giving new content. So it looks interesting.
So even though they may not be from 2016, what are you actually playing right now?
I'm actually playing Assassin's Creed Unity on PC.
Okay.
A game I had forgotten that I owned. It was so bad at launch. Mm-hmm. I saw a couple articles about how well it was playing now, and I went back. I completely deleted my old game save and started anew, and was immediately drawn in. My issues that I had with it before were, poor optimization. Not anything to do with the story. The story is absolutely great. It's an Assassin's Creed game, story driven, fetch questy at times, but still, great gameplay. And
what era and place does that take place in?
This is late 17th century France.
Okay, French Revolution.
Okay. You deal with Napoleon Bonaparte. You deal with all different types of influential French characters. There's even bits of uncovering Nostradamus' past, solving riddles.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Kind of pulled away from the Animus thing, and it really leaves you to the game and the game world. There's a bit of detraction going through. They call them tears, I think,
mm-hmm.
and somebody's pursuing you. You have to go to a different century. I just got done playing in 1940s France during World War II, and you had to ascend the Eiffel Tower, and there were gunships trying to shoot you down, so you had to race to the top, and then it cuts back in, and it's just one of those games, a lot like Batman Arkham Knight, that needed optimization. It needed to be polished, but once it was polished, it was the game that it was supposed to be, and just really finding a lot of enjoyment out of it now.
So, obviously, on neither of our top 5s, but
Definitely
tell
not.
me about Batman Arkham Knight, because I heard so many different things. I thought it looked beautiful. I thought it looked fun, but the big beef on Batman Arkham Knight, technical issues aside, was that 50% of the game is the Batmobile. People were just like, half the game is Batmobile. I want to be Batman. I don't want to be in a Batmobile. So what's your opinion on that?
Some of it's necessary. They kind of force it on you to the extent that there are certain issues where you have to call the Batmobile in. It's not as bad if you want to stay away from the Batmobile. You can.
Okay, you actually can. Okay.
You can be the Batman. And like I said, technical issues were most of my gripes. A lot of games were great, but they just were glaring technical issues that you just could not get above 5 frames a second.
Ugh.
Horrible popping.
Ugh.
I mean, just no-nos in 2015 and 2016. And but the Bat, you could do it a lot better. It definitely had some optimization that definitely needed. I can't remember the developer because it was so forgettable. It was horrible. But I came back to it, and it was a game I actually just recently started again amidst going back and replaying Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was like the first video I ever made for YouTube. I think me and Squirt Reynolds, that's my my partner, did that sort of as a test video. Like, okay, let's see what you do. We did Shadow of Mordor, and again, it's a hack and slash. Maybe not my big thing, but it seemed like really well polished, really well made, and fun.
I think their Nemesis system is something that a lot of future game design is
did
going
Metal
to
Gear use that? I heard some other game did use something like that.
Metal Gear
in 2016
kind of used something like that with their base assault, and you had to not so much Nemesis, where you fought an enemy, and if that enemy killed you, it became more powerful, and it remembered you the next time you confronted it, and you had to take it out.
I think it was maybe Mad Max that did
which
was
think
one that
something like that.
People thought was like okay, but just okay.
It was completely written off. Mad Max was also a great game, absolutely expansive, a really, really big sandbox to play in. But
car
it was
customization.
Oh yeah, and I mean
the driving looked fun.
It was very engaging. But it was written off. I can't remember what it launched like right behind another like really big title.
Yeah,
and
it kind of got lost. It might have been Fallout. It was like a couple weeks before Fallout 4 or something. I can't remember. But you're right. It was released and got lost, kind of.
It was just kind of washed aside.
Because winter 2015 was a huge amount of huge releases.
Huge. And it always is. You get the holiday season, you get people spending more money, and developers look at the peak spending trends of the year, and they go, okay, well, we're launching a big game. We put all this money into it. How can we reach the most people? Okay, well, we're going to launch on Black Friday. Call of Duty has been launching games for the last 10 years on the first 2 weeks of November. Date,
yeah.
So, it's varied from day to day.
That's a game I missed in 2015, was I didn't play Black Ops. I played the heck out of Advanced Warfare. I have an Advanced Warfare Xbox One limited edition. I played that game so much that by the time I was done with the whole cycle of that and all the DLC, Black Ops was coming out, and I was like, I was fatigued. I was like, I don't need another shooter. I'm going to play all these passive indie games now. Yeah. So I'll wait another couple years before I jump back into
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty
lost me years ago. After the dismal performance and launch of Call of Duty Ghosts, I think that was my last time I finally gave them money.
Yeah, Advanced Warfare was okay. What I liked about it was it had a bit of the old school Quake 3 arena feel to it because it had the rocket packs that you could use really often, so there was a lot of crazy verticality to it and bunny hopping. So I know for some people, like, bunny hopping in shooters is like annoying as crap. But like it added that extra kind of, it was super chaotic, like engagements are over in 0.5 seconds. Super brutal. So I did play that, but that's a 2014 game, and I got burnt out on it and skipped Black Ops 3.
Yeah, I think until Call of Duty does something revolutionary again, I'm going to stay away. I've loved Call of Duty past Call of Duty games. Call of Duty 4 was one of the greatest shooters of all time. Arguably, like, top 5, period. And until I get a performance out of Call of Duty to that magnitude,
right,
it's just rehash, and I can't keep giving money to something I've played for 10 years straight.
Yeah, and I think at this point I'm not that interested in playing another realistic style shooter right at the moment. Yeah. So I am very interested in seeing Overwatch. I am interested in playing Overwatch as sort of like a MOBA first-person shooter sort of hybrid, and then the Borderlands team is making their own flavor of that.
Battleborn
and Overwatch are both very similar. You have asymmetrical skill sets in a first-person shooter, so you have defensive and crowd control abilities as well as shooting. You can play in first or third person, but it's all about teamwork. There's minions, there's lanes that you're pushing and stuff like that, and all the characters are very cartoony and over the top, like Team Fortress 2, which is the last shooter I absolutely loved. So I'm interested in both Battleborn and Overwatch as a cartoony type of shooter.
Yeah, I think I'll be leaning more towards the Battleborn. I love Blizzard to death, but I can only trust them with my game so many times before I learn my lesson. 2K is a great company, and Battleborn has created a lot of great characters for me to invest my time in. And again, MOBA first-person shooter is something that hasn't been done, so I'm interested to see how that's going to go, how it evolves,
Yeah, and then it's going to be tough with multiple people kind of basically putting out the game that looks very similar and has the same kind of gameplay. One of those is going to die and one of those is going to win, so that's probably going to be kind of a shame. But it's about time we're going to get to wrapping up, so let's just do a little rapid fire. I'm interested to know. The Oscars were the other night.
Leo got an Oscar!
Did you see the Revenant?
That coming? Yeah, I actually have not seen the Revenant yet. I've been informed that I have to do that.
Really? Okay, yeah. And I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. I'd like to see that for Tom Hardy. He's the shit.
Love Tom Hardy.
But I heard he totally schools Leo as far as he's the star of the movie, and Leo just kind of grunts and kind of like that. But yeah, I guess I kind of want to see that. But so did you have a film from 2015 that kicked all their films' butts? Was it Star Wars?
Star Wars for sure.
Yeah, Star Wars was kind of amazing.
It was brilliant. I was actually really surprised that they didn't take anything home, did they?
Maybe one or two technical awards, but Mad Max got most of them. And that's the thing, Mad Max, I loved that movie.
Love Mad Max as well.
Oh my gosh, Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy were amazing. The character design, the costumes,
and it harkened back to the original movies.
Totally, it was such an extension of the original vision.
Yeah.
And took it to 11.
Oh,
it said okay, it's 2016. Let's take the universe and make it completely over the top. Loved that movie, adored it so much. I was just going to throw out there sort of other media that we're consuming. I would say sort of a find for something I watched a lot of in 2015. I don't think it's on Netflix. I got it on Blu-ray. It's from Starz. It's called Outlander. It's another thing involving time travel.
I've heard of that.
This woman who is a nurse in World War II travels back in time to ancient Scotland, and there's all sorts of intrigue, and season 2 is getting ready to come out, and Assassin's Creed Unity shares a similar theme. Basically, the characters in season 2 of Outlander have to escape, and they go over to France, and they're kind of rubbing elbows with all the people who got killed in the French Revolution and stuff like that. So that's definitely worth checking out. It looks like a cheesy romance show. The show is less cheesy.
My girlfriend will be into it.
The show is less cheesy romance than the books, which I have read too. Those are almost should have Fabio on the cover. There's sex scenes every 10-15 pages.
Gotta keep them flipping.
The actors in the show are both completely hot. It's some big hunky dude and some gorgeous lady, and there's sex scenes every episode, and they're both attractive. It's definitely worth
so kind of like a Spartacus.
Yes, it is. It's got the manly men fighting and killing and doing that stuff, but it's also got
stripping them down and putting them in there,
and romance and stuff like that. So was there anything that stood out for you would recommend from 2015?
I believe it started in 2015. AMC's Breaking Bad reiteration, Better Call Saul.
Cool.
I just recently found out about it, which is really unfortunate, but probably some of the best storytelling I've ever seen. AMC's been known to do that. Breaking Bad was absolutely astounding in the way they told that story, and they're doing it again with Better Call Saul. And if you liked those characters, a lot of them come back. You find out a lot of really interesting things about how they all meet.
It's a prequel,
and how Saul Goodman becomes Saul Goodman. It's very interesting.
And is Bob Odenkirk good in it? Because I know him from
outstanding.
I knew him from way back, and he's a comedy guy. He's a sketch comedy guy.
He does serious very well.
I just was
you really feel for Saul.
Awesome. So that's really, something I want to check out. I'm
definitely.
only
not time wasted.
I've only seen one season of Breaking Bad, so I need to make it through all of that.
Spend some more time with it, because the first season's kind of slow.
Yeah,
it really
have to
picks
get
up
into
in the second
it.
and third, and it
goes
kind of
off
falls
the rails
and completely dumps crazy all over you in the fourth and fifth season. So it's good, and same. I'm pretty sure the same producers, directors, same support. Technically, AMC doesn't like to stray too far But yeah, just absolutely impressive, and not common TV.
Well, that is a very good suggestion for Better Call Saul. And, if you want something a little more romantic, you could do the Outlander. And, check out the games that we nominated for our top 5 for 2015.
All solid choices. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I would agree. And especially some of them are indie titles, are lower priced, are going to be going on sale. So snatch them up.
Get your feet wet with something new. Because, I mean, you can play all the AAA titles you want, but they're going to keep coming back, and I really am really happy the way indie development has gone, and I'm really looking forward to getting new content from new developers and new ideas.
Well, very awesome. I think that's going to be a wrap for this episode.
Awesome to be on the show. Hopefully you can come back and make this a reoccurring thing.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do this next month. So this is the first episode, and it is in March 2016. We're going to come back at you at some time in April 2016 with the next episode of the Digi-Chute podcast. Talk about games, media,
and all the stuff you care about.
Yep, and if you have any questions for us, feel free to contact Spinningmantis through the YouTube channel.
We have a comment section. Utilize it.
Yes, we really appreciate that. Like, subscribe.
Yes.
Ask us anything you like down in the comments. That's going to be all for now. Spinningmantis out. And
PolishKGB out.
All right, see ya.